Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as a thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Okay, folks, we have to start with Bitcoin because we've been seeing some really great price action for Bitcoin. It did touch $82,000. Right now, it has pulled back a bit, but it's still trading over $81,000. So, what can we expect? We've been talking about the different scenarios of Bitcoin potentially going between 80 to 85K. Potentially, it could overshoot as well and touch 90K. That is certainly in the cards. Right now, Bitcoin is near the overbought zone, so we can anticipate some sort of pullback, but that doesn't mean the rally is over, right? So we're going to have to keep monitoring it. In fact, the MACD, which flipped bullish, which took Bitcoin over 80K, is still showing the bulls are in control. So I think as the week progresses, even into next week, we could see Bitcoin go higher, or maybe it cools off a bit and we see altcoins start to run. Because if we do look at the altcoin market, specifically Total 3, that is breaking out. The MACD has flipped bullish as well, and there's still room to run here with the RSI on the daily chart. And if we look at individual altcoins, for example, XRP, its MACD has also flipped bullish. So you're seeing the altcoins start to mirror what Bitcoin did. And that is what we want to see. Often we've seen Bitcoin leads the charge and then altcoins follow. And sometimes many altcoins outperform Bitcoin. So we're hoping that happens. Now, there's no guarantees here. We're using the data, but markets can always fake us out. So please understand, I'm not guaranteeing this. It is a probability, but I do believe there's a high probability of this playing out, if you understand what I'm saying here. So with XRP's chart, the MACD has flipped bullish on the daily chart and the RSI is in the neutral zone. So there's room to run here before it becomes overbought. Same thing with Solana. It is also in the same situation where its MACD has flipped bullish and its RSI on the daily still has room to run. So I think we're going to see a relief rally for these altcoins, which have been super oversold. Bitcoin was in the same position with the fear and greed index at the lowest it's ever been, the RSI at the lowest it's ever been. So we are seeing a counter trend rally, but I don't believe this is a move to new all-time highs. Now, could it potentially get there? Sure, but I think that's a low probability and it will take time to get back to new all-time highs. And we may see that happen maybe later this year or early 2027. That's my thesis. And I hope I'm wrong. Guys, I want Bitcoin to go to 150K plus by next month. I want XRP to go to $10 plus by next month. But we have to be realistic, right? So this is where our hopes and our dreams need to be put to the side. Leave your emotions to the side and look at the data and look at probabilities. Same thing with ETH. We are seeing ETH about to flip bullish. In fact, it's kind of lagging behind Solana and XRP, but I do believe it's going to catch up. And if ETH starts performing well, a lot of altcoins are going to do well. But I'm using XRP, Solana, and Ethereum because they're in the top 5, right? As far as assets, excluding stablecoins. So we have to be patient here, but we're seeing good signs, guys. So this is where I'm getting excited because it's a mini relief rally. I will take it. It's not a move to new all-time highs, but I would rather have this than the continued downtrend, if you get what I'm saying. Now, the other thing I've been telling you guys, pay attention to the stock market. Look at the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, because today the S&P 500 hit a new all-time high. However, it's in the overbought zone. You look at its RSI, it's in the overbought zone. However, we've seen the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, they can hang out because their indexes can hang out in the overbought zone for a while. I mean, just go look back at what happened last year, right? It'll pull back a little bit, but still hang out in the overbought zone, which is wild. But it's because it's not as volatile as crypto. There's more liquidity, more long-term holders, and much more. And this is a good sign for crypto. And in fact, it's MACD, which looked like it was losing momentum, where the bulls were losing momentum, it flipped back to a solid green on the daily chart. So this bodes well for crypto, Bitcoin, and altcoins to keep running. Again, not to new all-time highs. The stock market is in a different position versus crypto, which is still following the 4-year cycle, but we got a relief rally going. Again, you see the same thing on the Nasdaq. So these are very good signs, guys. So I think we can anticipate over the next few weeks or so some rallies for these altcoins. I don't expect all of them to go do well. There's a lot more altcoins now, but I believe, the top 15 to 20, 30 or so, you're going to see some of these altcoins pop up. So if you're swing trading, this is a great opportunity. If you bought the dip, I often tell you guys I have a segmented portfolio. I have my long-term holds and I have the swing trade side of it where I buy the lows when there's blood in the streets. And then when there's a rip, I sell it. I sell the rip, right? Buy the dip, sell the rip. So if you know how to read the metrics like RSI and MACD and much more, this is a great way to make some money as well. Now, if you look at coin market cap, we're seeing the total market cap start to move up. And again, you're seeing some green for these alts. So let's be patient and let's see how it all plays out. Now, one of the things that could drive Bitcoin higher, past 85K to 90K, is that the White House is going to release an update on the US Bitcoin reserve. So Patrick Witt, the White House crypto advisor, he said a major update on this is coming in the next few weeks. If you remember, I interviewed him along with my co-host Amanda at the Solana Policy Institute Summit from about a couple of weeks ago, and he said the same thing. We're going to have a major update. So depending on how big this news is, it could drive Bitcoin higher, guys. So we got to, the narrative and the news items are there. So we're going to continue to monitor the metrics and look at what comes out. Because remember, there's always a buy the rumor, sell the news event with many of these rallies. So we want to get ahead of it if you're looking to take profits or, whether it be swing trade or even your long-term hold bags. You can make that decision on your own. Obviously, do what's best for you financially. So we're going to continue to monitor this. But folks, the big news of the day, which is incredible, $2 trillion Morgan Stanley launches crypto trading on its ETrade platform. My OG subscribers, we've been talking about this for years. I talked about Charles Schwab, ETrade, and much more. And the report here highlights that Morgan Stanley is going to lower its fees or have very low fees for crypto trading than its rivals, which include Coinbase, Robinhood, Charles Schwab, according to Bloomberg. So remember when I said that the native crypto firms better up their game because Wall Street, TradFi is coming to steal their lunch. They want to take it all over, and they can go very low with fees because they have other means of revenue coming in. They've been at this for a long time. So this is where competition's heating up, and these type of on-ramps with ETrade and Morgan Stanley and much more, a lot of the mainstream users and investors, they know these brands, they know these companies, they're going to go put their money in these products, right? And you can imagine the folks who work at ETrade, the RIAs, the wealth managers and much more, they're going to pitch it to their clients, guys. So this is very good. More capital is going to come into the market. But just incredible adoption news. And remember, Morgan Stanley's late to the game, right? They just launched their Bitcoin ETF and now they're launching crypto trading. So this is happening when we're not fully in a bull market. And as I've been telling you guys, with all these on-ramps being set up, all this infrastructure, once the Clarity Act passes and we're entering back into that bull phase, I think it kicks off the super cycle, guys. It's not going to be like anything we've seen in the past. I think the bull markets are going to be more ferocious, and it's not going to be the bear markets are not going to be as bad. Look, there will always be bear markets. We see in the stock market. It's just it won't be as volatile because there will be more capital, more holders, and much more. So the pilot on ETrade is now live, and with access expected for all 8.6 million ETrade clients later this year. So it's kind of a soft launch, and then they're going to go push it to the millions of clients they have. So this is massive news, guys. All of Wall Street is here. The laggards, even the naysayers like Vanguard, all are jumping in because I've used the analogy many times, right? They will have their blockbuster moment if they don't adapt to this technology and get on board. The future is the capital markets running on blockchain rails. And of course, those public blockchains are the key, and they have native tokens. And if you don't integrate them in one way or the other, you're going to get left behind. You're going to lose out. So this is massive news. Now, moving ahead, Nasdaq's president says the SEC's new crypto stance is letting markets build again. One of the things I've been saying recently, and especially from the folks I've been interviewing, even if the Clarity Act is delayed, that's okay. The agencies like the CFTC and the SEC are providing the rulemaking and the guidance that allow these institutions to build, and you don't have to worry because guess what? The Clarity Act can pass, but who has to do the work of providing the guidance and enforcing it? the regulatory agencies. They're the ones that send you the Wells notice and the lawsuits, right? They're the one that fine you, not Congress. So this is where the agencies are getting ahead of the Clarity Act and providing the guidance. So even the Nasdaq president is recognizing this, right? Nasdaq, the New York Stock Exchange, all these folks are looking to go 24/7 with tokenized securities. They're listing ETFs and crypto assets, so this is really great. Nasdaq's Tal Cohen said a friendlier SEC is giving crypto firms and exchanges room to experiment with tokenization and digital market infrastructure. So these guys feel comfortable. So just imagine the innovation and the building they're doing. That's why you're seeing Morgan Stanley confidently launch their services. That's why these stock exchanges are in a race to go to tokenize assets for 24/7, and they're using public chains. So very, very bullish news here, guys. Even if the market pulls back, let's say in a couple months, the market dumps on us, right? Make sure you have the long-term view, because look at what is being built here. We're eventually going to get into a bull market phase. So you just got to be patient. And here we got an update from actually Patrick Witt about the Clarity Act, saying the White House is targeting July 4th passage. So are they going to make this spectacular move of getting this legislation through? Could this rally extend for another 3 months or so into July, where you have that buy the rumor, sell the news event? Because you can imagine the market makers are not going to just let this momentous occasion of this Clarity Act, a historic landmark moment, pass by and not have the markets rallying. So we shall see. Not guaranteed, of course. We're talking probabilities, but I think there's a high probability of that. So let's see, guys. Let's see. And we know the United States is celebrating its 250-year anniversary, come July 4th. So it's like this Bretton Woods moment where you have this big change in technology and money and much more. It's fascinating. There's a macro conversation to have here, right, of how things are changing. But let's see. Let's see if they can keep it to this deadline. That would be pretty momentous. All right, folks, quick word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by BitGo, the trusted infrastructure behind the digital asset economy. If you're serious about crypto, whether you're an investor, institution, or building in this space, you already know security, compliance, and execution are everything. And that's exactly what BitGo delivers. With over a decade of experience and 5,500 plus institutional clients across 100 plus countries, BitGo provides a full suite of services, including qualified custody, trading, staking, financing, and stablecoin infrastructure, all in one platform. Let's break it down. Want to launch crypto services fast? BitGo's Crypto as a Service lets banks, fintechs, and platforms go live in as little as a couple of months without dealing with complex licensing or infrastructure. If you're looking to launch a stablecoin, BitGo offers a complete stablecoin as a service platform, from reserves and smart contracts to compliance, built to align with the new U.S. regulatory framework that is the Genius Act. Want to earn rewards on your crypto? BitGo runs one of the largest institutional staking platforms with tens of billions staked across 50 plus networks, all while your assets stay securely in qualified custody. Need deep liquidity and execution? Their trading platform aggregates liquidity across 30 plus venues, giving you better pricing and the ability to trade directly from custody. No pre-funding required for approved clients. And if you need capital, BitGo offers crypto-backed financing, so you can unlock liquidity without selling your assets. So here's the bottom line. BitGo is one of the first federally chartered digital asset infrastructure companies offering regulated, insured custody and a platform built for institutions, but accessible to forward-thinking players across the space. So whether you're scaling a fintech, managing a fund, or building the future of finance, BitGo gives you all the tools that you need to do this securely, compliantly, and at scale. So learn more at bitgo.com and see why the biggest players in crypto trust BitGo.
Okay, moving ahead, we have huge news, which includes Ripple, the XRP Ledger, Jpmorgan, Ondo, and Mastercard. So here's the headline. Ripple, Jpmorgan, and others use the XRP Ledger to cash out tokenized treasuries fund internationally. XRP and Ripple haters right now are punching air. All those people say, no one's going to use the XRP Ledger. But it's as we've been talking about for years. If the SEC lawsuit didn't happen, a lot more building would be happening on the XRP Ledger. And since the lawsuit has ended, we've seen an incredible adoption of the XRP Ledger. I've often shared with you guys, go to rwa.xyz. You'll see XRP Ledger in the top 10, catching up to all the major blockchains with tokenization and much more. So this is pretty significant news, guys. Let me give you the details. Jpmorgan, Ripple, Mastercard, and Ondo Finance have teamed up to transfer tokenized US Treasuries across borders using both blockchain and interbank payment rails. Here's a quote. By combining the XRP Ledger with global banking infrastructure, this pilot shows how institutions can execute cross-border transactions in single integrated flow. Ripple posted in an X post on Wednesday. The pilot transaction involved Ondo initially processing its OUSG on-chain fund redemption for Ripple on the XRP Ledger. OUSG is a tokenized US Treasury product. That was followed by Mastercard's multi-token network being used to route instructions via Connexus, Jpmorgan's blockchain-based payments platform. Finally, Jpmorgan delivered USD to Ripple's Singapore bank account, Ondo said in a post on X. So here's another quote. Tokenized assets are no longer separate from the global financial system, Ondo said. For the first time, a public blockchain and a global banking infrastructure settled a cross-border transaction of a tokenized fund together in real time. Whole bunch of takeaways here. Let's peel away the layers to the onion. First up, huge adoption news for the XRP Ledger. Also really great for Ondo. I hold XRP and Ondo in my portfolio. Ondo, its swim lane is heavily tokenization, and it's helping to bridge and connect different chains like the XRP Ledger. Second, look at the names involved. Jpmorgan and Mastercard. Now, if you know your history with Jpmorgan and what they tried to do with Ethereum and Connexus, it was once called Quorum and much more. Another takeaway is Jpmorgan's private chain, Connexus, bridging to a public chain. So even if they build their walled gardens, they need the public chain for liquidity and settlement. Don't miss what's happening here, right? And despite Jamie Dimon bashing the crypto market for years, forced to use a public chain, guys. And look at what Mastercard is doing. Many of you may recall my interview with the head of Mastercard's crypto, and we talked about what they're building and much more. It's incredible, guys. So look at the names involved, and the XRP Ledger is being used. So fascinating. Again, have the long-term view. You see a lot of these things are now these partnerships are coming together. The execution of the pilots and the trial and error and figuring out the bugs and all that, they're going to move past this eventually and become full production where there's going to be billions, even trillions moving across these networks. Now, notice it's a multi-faceted, multi-chain process. So you got Mastercard's set up, right? And you got Jpmorgan set up, and you got Ripple's XRP Ledger and Ondo. So there's not going to be one chain to rule them all, and they're all going to be interoperable, folks. So don't miss that. This is incredible news. I hope you guys see how big this is. And again, I hold XRP in my portfolio and I hold Ondo. That's not financial advice, but if you're looking to invest, this is what you want to see. The biggest institutions in the world utilizing these blockchains. Okay, let's move ahead. This news is really big, guys. Colombia wants to mine Bitcoin with surplus renewable energy. President Gustavo Petro said Colombia's Caribbean coast could host Bitcoin mining facilities powered by surplus renewable energy, following a path similar to Paraguay. Guys, I've talked about this for years. Once the energy companies and these countries get on board and that game theory plays out with them taking, or I should say, leveraging Bitcoin mining to use their surplus energy, monetize it, that's going to be a huge use case and adoption for Bitcoin. And I think these are the things that are going to send Bitcoin to $1 million eventually. Look, currency debasement is obviously the foundational, but the adoption on things like this, man, it's incredible. And we know there's less than 1 million Bitcoin left to be mined, and it's going to take 100 years, over 100 years to complete that. But if you have countries and energy companies getting involved, man, don't miss how significant this is. This is massive. This is why there's some Bitcoin I'm never selling, guys. I'm holding it long-term in a hardware wallet. Just let it sit there. It will pass on to my kid or whatever it is, because the direction we are headed in. We're so early. Is Bitcoin becoming one of these hard money assets like gold that many countries are going to leverage in different ways? So this is huge news that these countries want to do it. And remember, game theory, right? It just takes one or two, and then the other dominoes will fall. All right, moving ahead, staying on the topic of Bitcoin, Grant Cardone, who will actually be interviewing soon, says Bitcoin real estate strategy could outperform REITs, REITs, adds more Bitcoin to Treasury. So Grant, of course, has set up his Bitcoin treasury and he's doubling down. So Grant Cardone said he has added another $100 million in Bitcoin to his $235 million real estate deal, creating a hybrid investment structure he believes can outperform traditional real estate investment trusts. Cardone's strategy fuses income producing property and Bitcoin within a single LLC, expanding on a 2025 move that brought Cardone Capital's total Bitcoin exposure to roughly $200 million. The approach aims to pair stable real estate cash flows with upside from Bitcoin while introducing mostly crypto newcomer investors to the asset. And Cardone said he intends this model to compete directly with conventional real estate vehicles. So this is really fascinating. You're merging two asset classes to help create more upside and returns, but also, kind of getting access to a diverse mix of assets. And I think we're going to see more and more of this, and that's going to be very appealing for institutions as well as retail. Final news item here, Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of LinkedIn, says NFTs may make a comeback as AI agents strain online identity. I agree with Reid. The NFT boom in the 2020-2021 bull market was mostly around, artwork and things like that. And look, there's a segment of the market for that. People are going to be interested in different types of artwork. That's not for me. I personally don't care about it. But the technology, as I've been saying for years, is the key. The fact that you can have digital ownership and be able to generate images and much more, even videos, is going to be awesome for social media profile and verification, content verification, and even the entertainment industries with tickets and the way NFTs can be dynamic and unlock things over time. So I think we went through the early phase, version one, where people were like, okay, artwork, great. Yeah, whatever. There was a lot of overvalued NFTs. I don't own any, right? But I believe in the technology. Certain artists, music artists, or, certain people put out NFTs and it has utility. It unlocks, it's not just artwork, but it gives you certain things. I'm going to buy and invest in it. And then, there's a potential market to rent those things out. So when we get there, right, we're not there yet. I will let you guys know when I take those positions. And I think what Reid is saying here with autonomous agents and AI agents, when you have them creating fake profiles on social media, and we're going to have big problems. You're going to need blockchain and NFTs for verification. So let me give you some more details. Reid Hoffman, partner at Greylock and co-founder of LinkedIn, told the audience at Consensus that the online world needs a better identity layer as the internet becomes increasingly populated by autonomous AI agents. Hoffman said he recently purchased a CryptoPunk because questions about online identity are at the center of his AI and crypto investment thesis. He also urged the crypto industry to remain bipartisan rather than tilt fully Republican, warning that overcommitting to one party is bad for the ecosystem long term. I fully agree with him here. I think NFTs are going to make a comeback, but not in artwork, but in utility. And I also agree with him that crypto needs to be bipartisan. And I think we're in that direction. We got a lot of champions on the Democrat side. The problem was Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. They made it political because crypto was around since 2008, right? Obama became president. It wasn't political. Trump, became president after that. It wasn't political. And then, Biden under Biden, but I wouldn't say it was Biden's fault, right? Biden was just, I think many of you know, an old man who didn't care about crypto. But Elizabeth Warren, who's being lobbied by the banks, and she had that top financial seat, she weaponized the political aspect of this towards crypto. But we need to get back to a place where it's not political. I'm actually tired of the political aspect of this. I just want the Clarity Act to pass and we can start focusing on building and innovating and creating jobs and bringing back companies here to the United States and put the politics behind us, right? Again, crypto is not inherently political. It was just made political because of stupid politicians. But it is what it is, and we're coming out of that, extreme political setup. And I think once these major bills are passed, it'll be something behind us and we can move forward. Anyway, guys, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Be sure to support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And if you want to expand your knowledge about crypto and blockchain, I have a great course, a comprehensive course for you guys. Go to mycryptocourse.com to learn more. It features expert commentary and much more. And guys, we have a huge discount going on right now. You can get 50% off the price of the course by using the code BEAR, BEAR at checkout. So check it out. Go to mycryptocourse.com. All the links will be in the description. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.